Found out wife was cheating. Served her divorce papers while she's with her affair partner. Now she's lost everything and begging me for forgiveness. All right, Reddit. Buckle up because this one's a doozy. My wife thought she was slick, running around behind my back for months. I caught on, stayed quiet, and hit her with divorce papers at the perfect moment. Now she's lost everything and wants me to forgive her. Not happening. Here's how it all went down. I'm 38 male, a commercial contractor in Austin. Started my own company 8 years ago after working construction since I was 19. We do residential remodels, custom homes, the occasional office building. Nothing glamorous, but steady work that pays well. I've got 12 guys on payroll and more projects than I can handle most months. The work is demanding, but I love it. There's something satisfying about taking someone's vision for their dream home and making it reality. Last year, we did a complete renovation on a 1920s bungalow that got featured in Texas Monthly. The owners were this elderly couple who'd lived there since 1963 and wanted to update everything while preserving the original character. We spent 4 months on that project, carefully restoring original hardwood floors, updating the electrical to modern code without tearing up walls, and converting an unused attic into a master suite with skylights. Client was over the moon when we finished. She actually cried when she saw the final result. Said we'd given her grandparents' house new life. That kind of reaction makes the long hours worth it. She referred 3 of her friends within a week, and suddenly we're booked solid through next spring. That's how this business works when you do quality work and treat people right. I learned the trade from my old man, who spent 30 years doing residential construction before his back gave out. He taught me everything from framing to finish work, but more importantly, he taught me how to run an honest business. Son, your reputation is everything in this industry. Do good work, charge fair prices, and treat people right. The money will follow. He was right about that. My wife, Nicole, 36 female, and I had been married for 12 years. Met her at a charity fundraiser one of my clients dragged me to back in 2010. I wasn't the type to attend fancy events, preferred jeans and work boots to suits and cocktails, but this client had thrown a lot of business my way and asked me to support her cause. So I showed up, uncomfortable in a rented suit, nursing a soda and counting the minutes until I could leave. That's when I saw Nicole. She was working as an event coordinator, managing the whole evening with this effortless grace, wearing this red dress that probably cost more than my monthly truck payment, hair pulled back, moving through the crowd making sure everything ran smoothly. But what caught my attention was her laugh. Genuine, warm, the kind that made everyone around her smile. When she laughed, her whole face lit up. We ended up talking by the dessert table. She was taking a breather, I was hiding from small talk. Started as polite conversation, turned into an hour-long discussion about everything from terrible wedding trends to our favorite breakfast tacos. She was smart, funny, and seemed genuinely interested when I talked about my work. Most people's eyes glaze over when you start talking about load-bearing walls and electrical codes, but Nicole asked follow-up questions. I got her number that night. We went out for breakfast tacos 3 days later, and I knew pretty quickly she was different from anyone I'd dated before. 6 months later, on a weekend trip to Fredericksburg, I proposed at this little winery she loved. Did the whole traditional thing, got down on one knee, had a ring ready. She said yes immediately, didn't even look at the ring first, just threw her arms around me. We got married 2 months later in a small ceremony in Hill Country. Maybe 50 people total, mostly family and close friends. Nicole's parents paid for most of it, which was generous since my dad was on a fixed income and my mom had passed away a few years earlier. The wedding was simple but nice, good food, decent band, and we actually had fun instead of stressing about every little detail. For the first 10 years, things were solid, really solid. We bought a house in a good neighborhood in 2013. A 3-bedroom ranch with a big backyard and a 2-car garage I converted into a workshop. Took annual vacations to places like Cabo and Colorado, sometimes just road trips through Texas. We'd talk about maybe having kids someday, but neither of us felt rushed about it. She kept working events while I built the business. We had weekly date nights, hosted barbecues for friends, spent Sundays doing absolutely nothing. All the normal married couple stuff that makes life feel stable and good. Looking back, the cracks started showing about 18 months ago. Small things at first, the kind of changes you notice but explain away, because you trust your partner. Nicole started working late more often. Used to be home by 6 p.m. most nights. Suddenly she's rolling in at 9 or 10 p.m., claiming client emergencies or last-minute event issues. She started caring way more about her appearance too. Joined this expensive gym across town, started going 5 days a week religiously. Before, she'd hit the treadmill at our neighborhood YMCA maybe twice a week when she felt like it. Now she's up at 5 a.m. for spin classes and CrossFit sessions, spending $200 a month on the membership alone. Got her hair done every 3 weeks instead of every couple months. Started buying new clothes constantly, stuff that seemed more appropriate for going out than coordinating corporate events. Designer jeans, blouses that cost $150 each, shoes that made me wonder who she was trying to impress at vendor meetings. Our credit card bills started creeping up, but when I mentioned it, she'd get defensive. I work hard. I deserve to treat myself sometimes, she'd say. Which was fair, I guess. I wasn't trying to control her spending. Just seemed like a sudden shift. The gym thing bothered my buddy Frank the most. He'd come by the house occasionally and notice Nicole's workout gear getting fancier. Brother, that's how it starts, he'd say over drinks. New gym, new clothes. Suddenly she's super concerned about how she looks. Classic affair indicators. Frank runs a successful plumbing company and has been divorced twice. Both times cost him dearly. His first wife took half his business, his second took his house and his truck. The man knows warning signs when he sees them. You're being paranoid, I'd tell him. She's just taking better care of herself. That's healthy. Sure. Just keep your eyes open is all I'm saying. I brushed him off because I trusted Nicole. We'd been married over a decade. We'd built a life together. People don't just throw that away, right? Wrong. Then came the phone situation. This one was harder to explain away. Nicole had always been casual about her phone throughout our marriage. Would leave it on the counter while she showered. Let me use it to look something up if mine was dead. Never acted weird about me seeing notifications. Normal married couple phone behavior. Suddenly, everything changed. She's got it glued to her hand 24/7 like it's a vital organ. Password changed without mentioning it. Takes it to the bathroom when she showers. Keeps it face down on the nightstand at night. Gets visibly jumpy if I walk into a room while she's texting. Why'd you change your password? I asked one evening, trying to keep it casual. Just wanted something more secure. There's been a lot of identity theft lately. Made sense on the surface, but combined with everything else, it felt off. The real wake-up call came one night about 6 months ago. We're watching some show on Netflix, one of those cooking competitions Nicole likes. She's in the kitchen making popcorn. Her phone's on the coffee table in front of me. It buzzes with a text notification. The preview shows on the lock screen before it disappears. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thinking about last night. My stomach dropped like I'd been kicked. That's not the kind of text a married woman gets from a girlfriend or work colleague. That's intimate. That's romantic. That's the kind of message someone sends when they're sleeping together. I didn't say anything when Nicole came back with the popcorn. Just memorized what I saw, acted like nothing happened, watched the rest of the show, but my brain was racing the entire time. Who sends a text like that to someone's wife? And what happened last night that someone's still thinking about it the next day? Sleep didn't come easy that night. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to Nicole's breathing, wondering if I was overreacting. Maybe it was innocent. Maybe it was taken out of context. Maybe I was being paranoid like Frank always is. But deep down, I knew. That wasn't an innocent text. I started paying closer attention after that night. Noticed patterns I'd been too busy or too trusting to see before. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening like clockwork, Nicole had networking events or client meetings that ran late. She'd leave the house around 6 p.m. dressed nicer than necessary for business meetings. Wouldn't get home until 10 p.m. or later. When she did come home, she'd shower immediately, before even saying hello properly. Then she'd be distant, distracted, sometimes didn't even want to talk about her day. On weekends, she'd get calls that made her step outside to take them. She'd walk out to the back patio or get in her car, talk for 20 or 30 minutes, then come back in acting like nothing happened. When I asked who called, it was always just work stuff, or vendor drama, or some other vague explanation. The sex life changed too. We went from once or twice a week to maybe once a month, and when it did happen, she seemed like her mind was elsewhere. Just going through the motions, checking a box, getting it over with. That alone should have been a massive red flag, but I kept making excuses. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe she was tired. Maybe this was just normal for a long marriage. The real breakthrough came 2 months ago. We share a cell phone plan. Everything under my business account for the tax benefits and easier expense tracking. My bookkeeper mentioned the bill seemed unusually high for the past few months, asked if I wanted her to review it. I said yes, more out of curiosity than suspicion at that point. When I logged into the account to pull the details, I found something that made my blood run cold. One number appeared constantly in Nicole's call and text logs. Hundreds of calls, thousands of texts over the past 6 months. Some conversations going past midnight when Nicole claimed to be sleeping. Some during times when she'd told me she was in important meetings. Multiple calls on weekends when she'd supposedly been running errands or meeting girlfriends for lunch. I didn't recognize the number. Sat there staring at my computer screen for probably 20 minutes, just looking at this mountain of communication between my wife and someone whose identity I didn't know. The volume alone was damning. You don't exchange thousands of texts with someone over 6 months unless they're extremely important to you. I plugged the number into one of those reverse lookup sites. Cost me $20 for a full report, but it was worth every penny. Got a name. Brett Kavanaugh. Male, age 34, works in commercial real estate at some downtown firm. His LinkedIn profile showed he'd been promoted to senior vice president 2 years ago, specialized in retail property acquisitions, and had spoken at several industry conferences. Industry conferences that Nicole had coordinated. That's how they met. Professional connection that turned into something else. Tale as old as time. I did more digging on Brett. Found his Facebook page, mostly locked down, but his profile picture showed him at some upscale restaurant looking exactly like you'd expect a commercial real estate guy to look. Expensive suit, styled hair, the kind of polished appearance that screams, "I close deals." His Instagram was more public, showed him at business events, social gatherings, occasionally with what looked like coworkers. No wedding ring, no relationship status listed, no photos with anyone who looked like a significant other. Perfect affair partner for a married woman looking for excitement. Here's where most guys would confront their wives immediately. Storm into the house, wave the phone records around, demand answers. Start a screaming match that ends with broken dishes and threats. Maybe go find Brett and get physical. Lots of options for letting emotion drive your decisions. Not me. My dad taught me something important when I was young and stupid and got into a bad business deal. He sat me down and said, "Son, when someone shows you who they really are, don't get emotional. Getting angry clouds your judgment. Take a breath, assess the situation logically, and then act strategically. Emotion is how men lose everything." He was right then, and he was right now. I called my lawyer, Jeffrey, the same attorney who'd handled my business incorporation back when I first started the company. Jeffrey was in his 50s, had been practicing family law for 30 years, and had a reputation for being thorough and aggressive when needed. We'd become friendly over the years through various business matters. "Jeffrey, I need to talk to you about a personal matter. How soon can you see me? Something in your voice tells me this is urgent. Come by tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'll clear my schedule." The next morning, I showed up at his office with a folder full of printed phone records, credit card statements, and notes I'd been keeping. Jeffrey's office was exactly what you'd expect from a successful attorney. Dark wood furniture, law books lining the walls, family photos on his desk. Professional, but comfortable. He gestured to a chair across from his desk. "What's going on?" I laid it all out. The behavior changes, the suspicious texts, the phone records showing constant communication with Brett, the pattern of late nights and immediate showers. Jeffrey listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on a legal pad. When I finished, he sat back in his chair and nodded slowly. "How long have you known?" he asked. "Suspected for 6 months. Confirmed about a week ago." "And you haven't confronted her?" "No. Wanted to talk to you first." He smiled slightly, the kind of smile that said he'd seen this 1,000 times. Smart. Most men come to me after they've already blown up their lives with confrontations. You're thinking clearly, which puts you way ahead of the game. He pulled out a fresh legal pad. "All right, let's talk strategy. You want a divorce?" "Yes, and I want to protect my assets. The business especially." Jeffrey nodded. "Walk me through your finances. Everything. The business, the house, bank accounts, retirement funds, debts. I need the complete picture." We spent the next 2.5 hours going through every aspect of my financial life. The business that I'd started before marrying Nicole. How I'd kept business finances completely separate from personal finances on Frank's advice after his first divorce disaster. The house that we'd bought together, but I'd made the down payment from my business account. Our joint checking account. The credit cards. The car loans. Nicole's retirement account from her job. My 401k. Everything. Jeffrey was methodical, asking pointed questions about how each asset was acquired, whose name was on which title or account, what money came from where. He made extensive notes, occasionally stopping to explain something about Texas community property law, or how courts typically handled certain situations. "Here's what we're going to do," Jeffrey said. "We'll file for divorce based on adultery, which Texas recognizes as grounds for fault-based divorce. With phone records as evidence, we've got a strong case. In fault-based divorces, The innocent spouse can receive a larger share of community property. How much larger? Depends on the judge, but you could walk away with significantly more than the standard 50-50 split, especially if we can prove she used marital funds to support the affair. That got my attention. I went back through our credit card statements for the past year, found some interesting purchases. Hotel rooms in Austin when we live here. Expensive dinners at restaurants we'd never been to together. A weekend trip to San Antonio that Nicole claimed was for a work conference, but I couldn't find any record of a conference that weekend. She'd spent roughly $8,000 of our money on her affair. Every transaction was on our joint credit card. Every dollar came from our joint checking account that my business income funded. Jeffrey practically rubbed his hands together when I showed him. This is good. Very good. She used marital assets to facilitate adultery. Judge won't like that at all. We filed the paperwork. Jeffrey said the next step was serving her with the divorce petition. In Texas, you can have someone personally served, or you can serve them by certified mail. Most people go the personal service route because it's faster, and you get proof of service immediately. When do you want her served? Jeffrey asked. I thought about it. I want to catch her in the act. Serve her while she's with him. Jeffrey raised his eyebrows. That's aggressive. You sure? Completely sure. He nodded slowly. All right. We'll need to know when and where. Can you figure that out? I could. Nicole's patterns were predictable now that I was looking for them. Every Thursday evening, like clockwork, she'd leave the house at 6 p.m. for her networking event. Same routine every single week. She'd spend extra time on her appearance those evenings, doing her makeup more carefully, wearing her nicest clothes, even putting on perfume she usually saved for special occasions. Based on the phone records, she'd call Brett around 5:45 p.m., probably letting him know she was leaving soon. Then again, around 6:30 p.m., likely when she arrived wherever they were meeting. The pattern was so consistent I could have set my watch by it. The following Thursday, I decided to follow her myself. Took the afternoon off work, told my crew I had a doctor's appointment, parked my truck a block away from our house around 5:30 p.m. and waited. Frank had offered to come along for moral support, but I wanted to do this alone. Needed to see it with my own eyes. At 6:02 p.m., Nicole's car pulled out of our driveway. I waited until she turned the corner, then followed at a distance. Stayed back several car lengths, kept other vehicles between us. Didn't want to spook her if she happened to check her mirrors. She drove north on Mopac for about 15 minutes, then took the exit toward North Austin. My hands were gripping the steering wheel tight enough to hurt, but I kept my distance. She pulled into an extended stay America hotel, one of those places that caters to business travelers doing short-term stays. Lots of people coming and going. Nobody pays attention to who's there or why. Nicole parked near the back of the lot, away from the main entrance. I pulled into a spot with a good view about 50 yards away, killed the engine, watched her check her phone, fix her hair in the visor mirror, reapply lipstick, taking her time, making sure she looked perfect. After about 10 minutes, she got out of her car and walked toward the hotel entrance. I followed on foot, staying well back, using other cars as cover. She went inside through the main doors. I waited outside for a few minutes, trying to decide my next move. Then Brett came out. Had to be him based on the LinkedIn photos I'd seen. Tall guy, probably 6 feet 2 inches, wearing business casual clothes that looked expensive. He had that polished appearance of someone who spends serious money maintaining their image. The kind of guy who probably gets manicures and has a standing appointment with a personal stylist. Nicole met him in the lobby. I watched through the window as they greeted each other. Not like colleagues running into each other, like lovers who'd been apart too long. She touched his arm. He put his hand on her lower back. They stood close together talking. The body language said everything. After a few minutes, they walked together to his car, a silver BMW parked near the entrance. They drove to a restaurant about 2 blocks away, one of those trendy places with exposed brick and craft drinks that costs $50 per person minimum. I watched them through the restaurant window from across the street. They sat at a corner booth, close together, laughing. She touched his hand across the table. He leaned in to whisper something that made her smile. They stayed at dinner for almost 2 hours. I sat in my truck watching the restaurant entrance, feeling like I was in some kind of bad movie. Part of me wanted to walk in there and confront them both, make a scene, flip tables. But that's exactly what my dad warned me not to do. Around 9 p.m., they came out and drove back to the hotel. Both went inside together this time. I knew what was happening in there. Didn't need to see it to know. I drove home feeling strangely calm. No tears, no anger, just this cold certainty that my marriage was over, and I needed to act. Had everything I needed now. Eyewitness confirmation. Photos I'd taken on my phone of them together. Hotel location. Timeline. Jeffrey would love this. I texted him when I got home. Confirmed. Have photos and location. She's there every Thursday. Let's move forward with everything we discussed. His response came within minutes. Good work. Come by tomorrow morning. We'll finalize the papers. The following Thursday, I called Jeffrey. She'll be at the Extended Stay America on Route 183 tonight. They meet there every week around 6:30 p.m. I'll have the process server ready. He's very good, very discreet. He'll confirm when service is complete. That day dragged on forever. I went to work, managed my crew on a kitchen remodel, reviewed blueprints for an upcoming project, did all the normal stuff. But my mind was elsewhere. Frank noticed. You good, brother? He asked during lunch. Actually, yeah. Better than I've been in months. He gave me a knowing look. You figured something out. Figured out my wife's been screwing some real estate guy for months. Filing for divorce. Getting served tonight. Frank whistled low. Damn, you need anything? Nah, I got it handled. Lawyers taking care of everything. That's how you do it. Clean, professional, no emotion. You're smarter than I was. At 6 p.m., Nicole left the house right on schedule. She'd put extra effort into her appearance today. Hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless, wearing a dress I'd never seen before that probably cost $200. She told me she had an important client meeting and might be late. No problem, I said, giving her a kiss on the cheek. I'll save you some dinner. She smiled, grabbed her purse, and left. I watched her car pull out of the driveway, then sat down on the couch and waited. At 7:15 p.m., my phone rang. Jeffrey's number. It's done, he said. Process server confirmed she was served at 7:10 p.m. She was with a male companion in the hotel lobby. Server said she went white when she read the papers. Perfect. Thanks, Jeffrey. Expect her to call you very soon. Don't answer. Don't engage. Let her stew. We'll communicate through lawyers from now on. Got it. I hung up and felt this wave of relief wash over me. It was done. No more pretending. No more late nights wondering where she really was. No more playing the fool. Just clean, professional consequences for her choices. My phone started ringing at 7:18 p.m. Nicole's name on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. She called 14 times in 20 minutes. Then the text started. What the hell is this? Call me right now. This is insane. You can't do this. We need to talk about this. Please pick up. I can explain everything. I muted her and ordered pizza. Turned on a baseball game. Felt more relaxed than I had in months. Around 9 p.m., I heard her car in the driveway. She burst through the front door like a tornado, eyes red, makeup ruined, still holding the divorce papers. What is this? She demanded, waving the papers at me. A divorce petition. Pretty self-explanatory. You can't just divorce me out of nowhere. We need to talk about this. We really don't. You've been having an affair with Brett for months. I have phone records, credit card statements, and witness confirmation. It's over. Her face went from angry to shocked to pale in about 3 seconds. How did you? Who told you? Nobody told me. I figured it out myself. You weren't exactly subtle. It's not what you think. Brett and I are just friends. We work together sometimes and... Save it. I don't care about your explanations. I know what's been going on. The lawyer knows. Soon the judge will know. You can explain it to them if you want. She started crying. Real tears this time. Not the manipulative kind. Please, can we just talk about this? I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. It meant something to me. It meant 12 years of marriage down the drain. It meant you used our money to fund hotel rooms with another man. It meant you lied to my face every single day for months. I'll end it with Brett. Right now. I'll call him and end it. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. I stood up and looked her in the eye. Nicole, I don't want to fix this. I want a divorce. You're going to find somewhere else to stay tonight. Tomorrow you can come back with someone present and pack your things. But you're not sleeping in this house tonight. You can't kick me out. This is my house too. According to Texas law, I can ask you to leave. You're not on the deed, just the mortgage. And given that you've been committing adultery, I'd suggest you leave peacefully. Otherwise, I'll call the police and explain the situation. Your choice. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're being cruel. No, I'm being clear. You made your choices. Now you get to live with them. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. I heard her car screech out of the driveway. Then silence. I sat back down and finished watching the game. The pizza was cold, but I didn't care. For the first time in months, I had the house to myself and could breathe freely. The next morning, Nicole's mother called me. Linda has always been dramatic, the type who sees everything as a personal crisis. This call did not disappoint. How could you do this to my daughter? She started immediately, no hello or anything. Morning, Linda. Your daughter did this to herself by having an affair. She made a mistake. Marriages go through rough patches. You don't just throw away 12 years. I'm not throwing anything away. Nicole threw it away when she started sleeping with someone else. You're being vindictive, serving her in public like that, humiliating her. She was served privately in a hotel lobby. If she's humiliated, that's because of her choices, not mine. Linda kept going, cycling through anger, pleading, and accusations. I let her talk herself out, then said, Linda, I need to go. Nicole can come by tomorrow at noon to pack her things. Someone needs to be with her. After that, all communication goes through lawyers. I hung up before she could respond. Jeffrey called later that morning. How'd last night go? About how you'd expect. Lots of tears, lots of denials, lots of promises to fix things. And you held firm? Rock solid. She's staying somewhere else. Coming tomorrow to pack. Good. Now, we need to talk about temporary orders. We'll file for a hearing to establish who stays in the house, who pays what bills, and how assets are handled during the divorce process. With the evidence we have, I'm confident we can get favorable terms. The temporary orders hearing was set for 2 weeks out. In the meantime, Nicole moved into her mother's house. She'd show up at our house occasionally to grab clothes or personal items, always with her mother in tow. Linda would glare at me like I was the villain while Nicole cried and packed boxes. I stayed professional. Didn't argue, didn't engage, just supervised to make sure she only took her stuff. Frank came by to help me keep things civil. He'd dealt with this before and knew how ugly it could get. She's going to try to come back. Frank warned me one evening after Nicole had picked up another load. They always do. The affair partner loses his shine once the sneaking around stops being fun. Then they remember their husband has a house and money and stability. Won't matter. I'm done. I know you are. Just warning you it's coming. He was right. About 3 weeks after I served Nicole, she started a campaign to get me back. It started with texts apologizing for everything, saying she'd been confused and made terrible choices. When I didn't respond, the text got more desperate. I miss you. I miss our life together. Brett and I broke up. He wasn't who I thought he was. Can we please just talk? I'll do anything to fix this. I didn't respond to any of them. Jeffrey had been clear. No communication outside the legal process. Everything went through lawyers now. Nicole tried calling from different numbers. Her mother's phone, her friends' phones, even a work number. I didn't answer any of them. She showed up at my job site once, causing a scene in front of my crew and the clients. I had to ask her to leave and threaten to call the police. She left crying. My clients were understanding. The wife of the couple whose home we were remodeling actually pulled me aside afterward. We went through something similar 5 years ago, she said quietly. Stay strong. It gets better. The temporary orders hearing went exactly as Jeffrey predicted. We presented evidence of the affair, the misuse of marital funds, and Nicole's harassment since being served. The judge awarded me exclusive use of the house, established that Nicole was responsible for half the mortgage payment even though she wasn't living there, and ordered her to stop contacting me except through attorneys. Nicole's lawyer argued that I was being unfair, that marriages can be saved, that she deserved a chance to make amends. The judge wasn't buying it. Counselor, your client engaged in an extramarital affair and used marital funds to support that affair. The petitioner has every right to seek dissolution of the marriage. Temporary orders are granted as requested. Nicole looked devastated. Her lawyer looked annoyed. Linda, sitting in the gallery, looked like she wanted to murder me. I kept my expression neutral. Outside the courthouse, Jeffrey clapped me on the shoulder. That went well. The final divorce decree should follow similar lines. With fault on her side, you'll likely keep the house. The business stays yours entirely, and we can argue for a favorable division of other assets. How long until it's final? Texas requires a 60-day waiting period from the date of filing. We're about halfway through that. Figure another month for procedural stuff, then we go to final hearing. 3 months total, give or take. I could live with that. The next phase was the worst. Nicole's complete meltdown. Her mother called me one evening, actually sounding concerned rather than accusatory for once. She's not doing well. She barely eats. She cries all day. She's missing work. I think she's having a breakdown. Linda, I'm sorry she's struggling, but that's not my problem anymore. She needs support from her family and friends. Can't you just talk to her? Maybe if she heard your voice? No. We communicate through lawyers. That's it. You're heartless. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. She hung up on me. I wasn't heartless. Part of me did feel bad that Nicole was struggling. 12 years of marriage doesn't disappear just because someone cheated. But I also knew that taking her back would be a mistake. She'd broken my trust completely, used our money to fund an affair, and only wanted me back after her affair partner dumped her. That's not remorse. That's regret about consequences. Frank reminded me of this constantly. Brother, stay strong. I went back to my first wife after she cheated. Know what happened? She did it again a year later. Some people don't change. My crew at work became my support system. These guys have been with me for years, know me well, and they had my back. One of them, Drew, went through a messy divorce 3 years ago. He'd give me pep talks on job sites. Boss, here's what you gotta remember. She didn't respect you enough to stay faithful. That's it. That's the whole story. Everything else is noise. Simple truth, but exactly what I needed to hear. The final divorce hearing was set for early October, about 3.5 months after I'd first filed. Jeffrey prepped me thoroughly. We went over every piece of evidence, every financial document, every text message. He wanted me ready for anything Nicole's lawyer might throw at us. They're going to try to paint you as controlling, cold, unforgiving, he warned. They'll say you didn't try to save the marriage, that you jumped straight to divorce. Be ready for that. I tried to save the marriage by being a faithful husband. She's the one who destroyed it. Perfect. Keep that energy. The day of the hearing, I wore my best suit. Showed up early. Nicole arrived with her mother and her lawyer, looking thin and tired. We didn't make eye contact. The hearing took about 2 hours. Nicole's lawyer argued that the affair was a mistake, that I'd been emotionally distant, that she deserved a second chance and a fair settlement. Jeffrey countered with phone records, credit card statements, and the fact that Nicole had shown no remorse until after the affair partner dumped her. The judge listened to everything, reviewed the evidence, and made his ruling. I find that the respondent engaged in an extramarital affair and used community property to facilitate that affair. The petitioner has shown clear grounds for divorce based on adultery. The marriage is dissolved. As for property division, he awarded me the house outright. The business remained entirely mine, with no claim from Nicole. Our joint savings were split, but the judge ordered Nicole to reimburse me for the $8,000 she'd spent on the affair. Retirement accounts were divided according to contributions during the marriage. It was about as good an outcome as I could have hoped for. Nicole started crying when the judge announced the House decision. Her lawyer patted her shoulder awkwardly. The decree will be filed within 5 business days, the judge concluded. This matter is concluded. Just like that, 12 years of marriage ended in a courtroom. Outside, Jeffrey shook my hand. Clean victory. You handled this exactly right from the beginning. Thanks for everything, Jeffrey. Send me the final bill. Will do. And hey, good luck. You're free now. Make the most of it. Nicole tried to approach me in the parking lot, but her lawyer stopped her. Smart move. We were done. Legally, emotionally, completely done. The first few weeks after the divorce felt strange. The house was entirely mine now, but it felt empty in a different way. I threw myself into work. We had 3 major projects running simultaneously, keeping me busy from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. most days. Frank took me out for dinner one night. How you holding up? Better than expected. It's weird being single again after 12 years, but it's also kind of freeing. Give it time. You'll adjust. And trust me, there are plenty of women out there who'd appreciate a guy with his life together. I wasn't ready to think about dating yet, but I appreciated the sentiment. Nicole tried to reach out a few more times in the months after the divorce. Once through a mutual friend, asking if we could talk as friends. I declined. Once through a handwritten letter that arrived at my house, apologizing again and asking if there was any chance we could reconcile. I threw it away without finishing it. The final attempt came about 6 months post-divorce. I was at Home Depot picking up materials for a bathroom remodel when I ran into her in the tile aisle. She looked better than she had at the hearing, healthier, like she'd been taking care of herself. Hi, she said quietly. Nicole. Awkward silence. Then, how have you been? Good. Busy with work. You? I'm okay. Working full-time now. Living in an apartment near my mom's place. More silence. I grabbed the tiles I needed and started to leave. Wait, she said. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I need to say it. I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better than what I did to you. I was selfish and stupid, and I threw away something good. I needed you to know that. I looked at her for a moment. She seemed sincere, but it didn't change anything. I appreciate you saying that. I hope things work out for you. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say, Nicole? That I forgive you? That we can be friends? That ship sailed when you started sleeping with Brett. I know. I just thought, I don't know what I thought. Take care of yourself. I walked away and didn't look back. It wasn't about being cruel. It was about moving forward. Some bridges, once burned, stay burned. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.